Few missions matter more than helping people live healthier, happier, and longer lives. But turning that mission into reality at scale is one of the greatest challenges of our time. In this podcast, I speak with the people who are taking that challenge head on. Health entrepreneurs who have dedicated their personal and professional lives to creating maximal impact. The true impact junkies. My name is Daniel. Join me as I talk with them about their stories behind the impact, the wins, the losses, the challenges, and the breakthroughs, with the hope of inspiring many more people to join the mission and the health revolution. Today's guest is Emma, founder of Team Empower, an iconic health entrepreneur who's been leading the charge in the UK for more than half a decade, and a person who has a special ability to alchemize pain and trauma into positive change for herself and others. Welcome to Impact Junkies. Emma, welcome to the studio.
Thank you for having me.
Such a pleasure to have you here. It's been a long time coming, and I really look forward to diving in to your story and your journey, and what a journey it's been.
It has been quite a journey.
You have been a trailblazer in the online health coaching space in the UK for about 6 years now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a quite long track record.
6 years, yeah. I mean, I never expected it to go so successfully. I mean, I'm sure we'll get into it, but it really was a very big risk for me at the beginning. But yeah, it's been an incredible journey.
And I'll tell you what, that risk has definitely paid off, not just for you, but also in terms of how many people's lives that you have impacted in that time. To be a bit specific, within the time that you have been doing one-on-one online health coaching, you have served 12,300 clients, just around there in total, which is crazy. And I think one thing which is kind of a cornerstone in what you deliver is not just doing it at scale, but doing it with quality as well. When I can see what your clients do, I mean, they log around 1 million activities, just over 856,000 activities. You're very focused on habits. Your clients have tracked over 40,000 different habits, which are change in their lives. You know, they track habits like breath work, guided meditation, positive mindset, you know, tactical things like planning your week to be set up for success. All of the toolbox which it requires for people to actually change their lives, which is quite amazing. And combined with the scale, you have one of the highest NPS scores that I've seen, right? Which is 9.1 out of 10. So 12,300 lives changed with an extremely high client satisfaction. What do you think about that quality at scale? What are your thoughts on that?
It's something I'm really proud of. But yeah, I would say there's a lot of strategy behind that. Not just me, but my team. We work really hard on ensuring that we do provide the highest quality level of personalized coaching. And I'm sure we'll get into this, but it kind of came from my own coaching experience, and I just felt like there wasn't that quality. When I first got into health and fitness, I worked with a few coaches who, I mean, I had a very terrible experience, and I initially started my coaching company because I wanted to be the person who could provide that level of quality and that really strategic approach that doesn't just focus on fitness and nutrition, but, you know, everything you just mentioned, all the habits and all the lifestyle interventions. So,
and that seems like a red thread in your story and your approach as a coach is taking your experiences, your lived experiences, combining that with knowledge, and then focusing on implementation for other people who can mirror themselves in that story. That seems to be a red thread. So for us to understand that story, I'd like to go a bit back in time and see, well, who was Emma before Team Empower really came to be? Where are you from, and where's the start of your journey?
So I'm from a place called Bath in the UK. It's a very small city. And my origin story, I guess, I used to be very overweight. I was 30 kilos heavier than I am now.
As a child?
Well, no, actually, I was I gained a lot of weight during school because I got bullied, and the bullying kind of made me emotionally and bingey, and I gained a lot of weight in a short period of time, which I guess, looking back now on reflection, I guess it was kind of a coping mechanism, food addiction, and it happened very quickly, and the bullying got so bad. It was largely to do with how I looked. I would get called a whale, I would be mocked in school, and it got really nasty. Like, girls would throw food at me.
Oh, nasty.
And I ended up getting homeschooled because it got so bad.
So the environment was so bad that you simply couldn't go to
I
school?
refused to go to school, and the teachers actually understood and allowed me to be homeschooled. So, yeah, but then that's kind of what made the problem worse, because I wasn't leaving the house, I wasn't exercising, and I was at home left to my own devices, which at the time were not very healthy coping mechanisms. It was food, it was binge eating.
Right. And it seems like the perfect storm of all the potentially wrong things, right? Not moving. No social interactions.
No connection.
Yeah.
Just on my own at home.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So I gained a lot of weight, and yeah, I mean, I haven't gone too far back into before then, but I mean, that's how this started, you know, my weight gain story. If that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be doing this, what I'm doing now.
So that was kind of the start, but there had to be a change at some point, I guess, for you to move on. But what did that look like? I mean, did you get any help at that time, or were you just by yourself trying to figure out how to change your life? Because you're quite young, and it's hard to make those types of changes yourself.
Yeah, so I had a turbulent childhood, to say the least. And I was struggling quite a lot mentally as well. I'm a huge advocate for mental health. But yeah, back then when I was overweight, getting bullied, I also was diagnosed with depression. So I was on a lot of antidepressants, and I just kind of realized I got to a point where I was so unhappy, miserable. I just felt no joy in life at all. And then my turning point, like the actual moment which kind of catapulted me into the health and fitness sphere, was actually on a summer holiday. I was with my mum and my sister, and I was, you know, wearing a baggy t-shirt, covering up. I was in the pool wearing a baggy t-shirt, and I remember like looking around at other girls who just seemed so happy and carefree, like no insecurities about their body at all. Like they were actually on holiday having fun.
And you could see something that
I just couldn't relate, because all that was going through my head was like how insecure I felt, and how, I guess, jealous I was of other girls, not even for how they looked, but just for how they felt. I was jealous of how much fun they were having and how they had no worries or cares about their body. And yeah, it was that moment I was like, right, I don't want to be like this anymore. I don't want to be stuck. I'm going to change. And
so a reflective moment on the beach, coming to terms with.
Yeah, well, it was in the pool. I remember it with my baggy t-shirt on. Yeah. And I was like, right, I'm going to go home and I'm going to go to the gym. And this is before Instagram was a thing, really. Like, this was when people would, you know, post like the odd holiday picture on Instagram. So I remember just using Google to help me like figure out how to use the gym, or what to do in the gym. And I was so kind of embarrassed of how I looked at the time. And I just, you know, I had a bit of social anxiety from the bullying as well. And because I kind of been a recluse at home for a few years, I did not feel comfortable going to a commercial gym.
But that's a lot to overcome, actually, because we can see also, I mean, a lot of clients that choose an online coaching offering. Some part of that can also be based on people's anxiety or insecurities about going to a gym. You overcame a lot to make that step, right? What was it about the situation that you were in which made you take such a quantum leap, right? And going home, going to a commercial gym, which is extremely different from being at home.
I actually didn't go to a commercial gym.
Okay, what did you do?
I looked around for the quietest gym that no one would be at, and I actually found a hospital gym.
Okay. In a hospital?
In the hospital.
How could that you had access to?
Yeah, I mean, they just sold memberships to the
Okay.
public, but it was for, people at the hospital. It was probably smaller than this room, but I thought, great, like no one's going to be there. And yeah, no one who I'm going to mind seeing me. I did not feel comfortable going to the gym. And like, yeah, gym anxiety is so real, and I get it because that was me. And I talk to clients about this a lot when I'm programming them. Kind of starting off with like home workouts or, a gym that doesn't feel so overwhelming. And then you can kind of like build up your confidence until you can get to a commercial gym or, the gym you really want to go to. And
Going
that is
through the same steps that you did.
yeah.
Can you find a hospital gym?
Maybe not that. I don't think that's necessary. But like starting with a home workout or something like that. But yeah, I started going to this hospital gym, and I had no idea what I was doing. I broke my phone on the first day in the gym. Like I smashed it on a barbell.
What a start.
Yeah. And yeah, back then I just remember there were days where I would put on my gym outfit and I'd cry in the mirror because I felt so ashamed. It feels so mean to even say that now, but that's truly how I felt. Like I just did not recognize myself. I didn't feel comfortable. And, even the barrier of not feeling good in your skin is so real for even starting a fitness journey. I know that can be such a challenge for a lot of women. Like they don't feel comfortable in their bodies. So therefore they don't feel like they can even get to the gym. And yeah, I really experienced that. But
it sounds like being able to relate to that self-image or lack of confidence is quite key to what you communicate. You mentioned right now that it sounds almost mean to talk about the person that you were in that way.
I feel that a lot, yeah.
Yeah, how so?
Because as much as I didn't like how I looked and I felt very ashamed and embarrassed, I have a lot of love for that version of myself. Because she is the person who got me to where I am today. And I really encourage my clients to take that approach as well, to not change their bodies from a place of hate, but really to recognize that the person you are now, even if you don't feel confident or you don't love yourself, that is the driving force that's going to get you to where you're going to go. That is the person who is going to take you to your goals. So you need to love her and respect her or him.
Yeah.
I think that's a really powerful mindset shift.
For sure. Despite wanting to change, it doesn't mean you have to.
Yeah, you can love yourself and still want to change and become better at the same time. I feel like that is very much how I live my life now. I have to always be growing or learning or developing or having goals and striving for better, but that doesn't take away from like the love you can have for yourself right now.
And that is almost, I guess, a form of self-love, right? Actually taking those steps to better oneself.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you took those steps, but what?
But I was just going to say, the thing that really kept me going to the gym, because, I was not fit. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't feel comfortable in my body. I hated how I looked. The thing that kept me showing up was actually, I recognized how much better mentally I felt after a workout. And because I was very depressed, one of my goals back then was to get off antidepressants because unfortunately my nan, she passed away from an overdose on antidepressants and I just did not want to continue taking them. And I noticed that doing a workout, moving my body made me mentally feel better. So that's why I kept showing up.
So when you say mentally feel better, what was the actual shift, right? Because now you're going from being indoors on antidepressants to getting to the gym and finding out that actually creates some change. How did you experience that you said mental shift?
I think really it was quite instantly. Like after a workout, you get a hit of endorphins, dopamine. I didn't know what those words meant back then, but I felt the feeling of, being lifted and having a little bit of a post-workout high.
Right.
And, even just, I think knowing you had the discipline and the self-respect to go and do something you don't feel comfortable doing, like you get a boost from that, you feel good from that. And it just, taking small steps every day just made me feel like I was growing, changing, and I liked that feeling.
Small steps to success.
Yeah, that kept me going. And I stayed in that hospital gym for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I upgraded to Fitness First, and that's where I'm still training now.
Right. So that was the shift. You graduated to the larger gyms
Yeah.
with a bit more confidence, because after a year, I mean, self-taught, I guess, right? Now you're Googling stuff, you're learning it.
Pinterest workouts.
Tell me about Pinterest workouts.
Just on Pinterest, I would type in ab workout,
Right.
and then I would just follow whatever it told me.
Uh-huh.
And then, I've always loved learning. So something that really helped me in the early days was podcasts. I listened to so many podcasts. I read so many books because for me anyway, and I feel like this is the same for a lot of my clients, I take action off the back of education. So if I know the science behind something and I have read the science, the tools, the knowledge behind a concept, like I will be far more likely and driven and more motivated to go and do it because I understand the mechanics behind it.
Right.
So yeah, I recognized that in myself early on, and I used to listen to, I still do, listen to like 2-3 podcasts a day.
Right.
And the learning really helped me, which is why I kind of encourage my clients to learn so much and place a big emphasis on education.
Like we spoke about in the start, like pain or struggle, knowledge, and then implementation, a cornerstone in how you do things. Because you liked studying. I mean, you were quite the academic. Is that true? I mean, despite some challenges in school, I mean, you enjoyed school and learning.
Yeah, I've always achieved very, very high grades academically. I just love learning. I like studying. I remember my mum once said to me, she used to have to force me to stop doing homework.
Well, that's a very opposite story of what we usually have. And I have kids, I have to force them to do their homework.
Yeah. But currently I've gone back to uni. I'm now doing my master's in neuroscience.
Oh, wow.
Which is intense, but it's very interesting.
We'll uncover that definitely and which steps, why neuroscience when we get to that, for sure. Okay, so after a year, that also leads to results. I mean, you're not only feeling better, like mentally, right? But I'm sure you're also starting to get some results physically from the training. How was that? How did you experience that combination of physical improvement and improvement in mental well-being at the same time?
Well, I had also changed my diet in that time, which of course makes a very big difference. And I had lost a lot of weight at that point. I'm not sure exactly how much, but it was significant. But I was just at a place where I was a smaller version of myself. Like my body shape hadn't changed. I just lost a lot of body fat. And I wanted to tone up and have some more shape and definition on my body. Because really I'd just been doing a lot of cardio. I hadn't been applying progressive overload and all these things. So I wasn't really like giving my body the stimulus it needed to adapt and change. I was just losing weight. So I was like, okay, I've seen some initial progress. Now I really want to take it to the next level. And I signed up to a commercial gym. And I actually met a PT who became my boyfriend for 5 years. So that definitely helped. Then oh God, it was such a journey because I guess I'd gone from being the whale, mocked for being fat, lost a lot of weight, and then the next year I kind of went too far in the opposite direction.
So you got a boyfriend who was a personal trainer and opened up, I guess, the doors to a whole different world.
Yeah, that was what introduced me to the whole like bodybuilding industry, you know, competitors and bodybuilding competitions.
What intrigued you about that space?
I think back on Instagram, the online coaching fitness industry was very different to what it is today. Today, it's very much about a lifestyle and balance. Whereas back then it appeared to be very all or nothing. And like if you were going to the gym, it was like physique, you need to bulk and cut, you need to have a goal, you need to compete. And, maybe I was just following the wrong people and that was kind of the bubble I was in. But I think as well, when I think back, I maybe felt like I wanted to prove something to the people who believe me. So I really wanted to take it to the next level.
Right.
So yeah, and my boyfriend at the time, he was very much into the bodybuilding space. So yeah, I started working with a bodybuilding coach.
So, I mean, you took a leap. Yeah, you seem to be a person who once you do something, you go all in.
Yeah.
So I guess this
If I have a goal, I will do it.
So this is one of those steps. So what was the goal? Was to what? To compete or what?
Not initially. Oh. The goal was to just get in the best shape of my entire life.
And what did the best shape look like
when
for
I
you?
think back now, I've been on my fitness journey for 10 years. I remember back then thinking like, oh yeah, 6 months I'm going to get in the best shape of my life. And obviously now it doesn't take, it takes a lot longer than that. But yeah, I started working with like a bikini competitor coach, not with the intention initially to get on a stage and compete, but I could see a lot of other people doing it. It was definitely in the back of my mind. And then 3 months into this coaching experience, I decided I wanted to do a bikini competition.
Is that are those the first step? Because you said this led you to a bit of an extreme approach. Was that driven by the coach that you had, or what?
Well, I wouldn't say put the blame on him entirely. I would say it's a combination of his approach, his coaching methodology, all the people I was following online, the kind of narrative that I was reading, the content I was consuming, I've always been a bit of a overachiever, and the extreme high standards I set on myself. And then, as I was getting into the fitness industry more, I was considering, maybe I would like to work in this industry. I love this. Like I'd fallen in love with the gym at that point. And yeah, it crossed my mind like, oh, perhaps I could work in the fitness industry. And back then, I remember thinking the only way I can make it is if I win a bikini competition.
Okay, so that was a means to a change.
Yeah, because I guess, there's some sense that like it will give you some credibility, show that you know what you're doing, that you have discipline, that you can display what you're able to do.
Right.
So
what did life look like practically at that point?
Awful.
Yeah.
So the coach I worked with a few, but the first coach I worked with had me on about 1,000 calories a day. And I was doing 1 hour of fasted cardio every morning and then going back in the evening to lift weights.
Wow.
And 15,000 steps a day.
That's a lot. And what are you doing at the same time as this? I mean, are you...
I was working... no, I was a student.
Right.
I was studying.
So you're studying, which now with what you've read, that it's a bit of a tricky thing cognitively as well.
Yeah.
You're depleted. You're doing a lot of work. But it feels like the right thing. I guess you have that... You don't have a different toolbox.
I very much believed back then that you needed discipline and you had to almost not enjoy it to get results. I think the bodybuilding industry, not everyone, but they do feed this narrative like no pain, no gain, hustle, discipline is needed. And yeah, of course, discipline is needed, but not to a point where like you hate your life.
No.
But that's truly what I believed. I thought, if I'm killing myself, I will get better results. The more I restrict, the more I cut out anything bad, like sugar, processed food. Like if I avoid that at all costs, I will get to my goal quicker. I'm going to look better. And that is very much what I believed.
It's a very rough combination for someone who's as deterministic as you. When you say, this is the goal, restrict, grind, pain, that's a means to, that seems like you potentially could lead yourself
it's the perfect recipe for an eating disorder, for sure.
How so?
I mean, I already didn't have great self-worth. And I guess because of the bullying and stuff to do with my childhood, I needed external validation back then to feel enough. And yeah, I had like this overachieving mindset. So plus being bullied at school for being a whale and all of the negative connotations that come with that, I felt like I wouldn't be enough unless I looked a certain way and forced myself to get to that point. But yeah, it was really damaging because, you know, exactly like you say, when you're restricting all your food, you're doing a crazy amount of activity. And also the actual meal plan I was eating, it was pretty much like chicken and broccoli on
Not
repeat.
very inspiring.
No.
Right? And measuring and weighing.
Measuring weight. Like I was weighing out my broccoli, weighing out my blueberries.
Wow. So
I would track chewing gum.
to make sure it wasn't too much for you.
I was so like a perfectionist, overachiever. It was very detrimental. And I think sometimes, you know, people can almost look up to those who have a overachieving mindset, who are, you know, really on it with their goals. But I think, well, I know it can actually be very detrimental to live like that.
Yeah. But did you prove something to yourself in that process? Because you said it was something about, you know, proving the bullies wrong, external validation. I mean, were you getting that in this process, or what did that look like?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, really, what I needed to know back then is the only validation you need is within. So I actually should have done a lot of internal work at the same time. But it definitely, as much as that approach back then is very toxic and not something I would ever do again or recommend to anyone, because it's not needed, and it actually really it will take you a lot longer to get to your goals doing it that way, ironically. But it taught me that I actually can do anything I set my mind to, and it taught me the power of self-belief and conviction, which has carried me through a lot in my life. So yeah, I don't look back on it with regret at all. I'm actually very grateful for those experiences, because without them, it wouldn't have given me the purpose and the passion that I had back then to create my own coaching company.
Right.
But yeah, just to wrap up that story, it went far too extreme, and I ended up with a very dangerous eating disorder. I lost my period, and I did not get that back for about 3 years.
3 years is a long time.
Yeah.
That's your body saying, this
You're
is not good.
okay.
Yeah.
And I had extreme body dysmorphia. I would look in the mirror and all I would see is my old self, even though like what was right in front of me was actually a very frail girl who was not eating enough. But I did not perceive that in the mirror. And it's really shocking how real body dysmorphia can be.
Understanding what you know now about body dysmorphia and that, why weren't you able to see the change yourself at that time?
Well, it's interestingly a lot to do with the brain. So like our reality is actually constructed through our brain based on prediction and, you know, our past experiences. And I guess belief plays a big role in that. So if your brain is being influenced by your past experiences, your predictions, and your beliefs, you are going to perceive something that is different to what's reality. And that's been proven in science.
Right.
So that kind of concept does actually explain body dysmorphia. Because yeah, for you to perceive anything, it has to go through your brain. So if your brain is, you know, being influenced by other forces that are negative, then you're going to perceive a more negative reality.
Were you aware of like how extreme what you had set in motion was at that time, or when did you kind of get a wake up call?
I didn't think it was extreme because I thought it was normal and I thought that's what was necessary to get to where I wanted to be,
Wow.
which is even more sad.
Yeah.
I guess it was when I lost a lot of weight. I was very, very small. And I mean, I'm still small now, but it was the way I did it back then. You know, I was eating like 800 calories to 1,000 calories a day because that is what I was being told. And yeah, I guess I realized how detrimental it had become was when I went on a holiday. Again, I have these wake-up calls on holidays.
It's the time for you to reflect,
Yeah.
it seems. Go on a holiday in a pool.
Yeah, this time I didn't have my t-shirt on.
Yeah, all right. That's changed.
But yeah, I went on this holiday after restricting for such a long time. So I actually didn't end up doing the bikini competition because
Why not?
I kept fainting in the gym. I was so malnourished that I kept fainting. I'd lost my period and the coach wanted me to go even more extreme in order to lose more body fat. And I just, I couldn't do it anymore. So I did a photo shoot instead, then went on holiday. And on this holiday, I remember I ate, on the first day, I ate foods that I wouldn't normally eat, like, you know, chocolate and ice cream, whatever. I felt a lot of guilt and shame whilst eating it. And then after, literally day 2 of the holiday, I just wanted to get home so that I could get back on my clean meal prep, go to the gym, lock in with my routine. Like living a normal life felt so uncomfortable for me.
It's not freedom.
It's not freedom. And I realized I'm the smallest I've ever been. I thought losing weight would make me happy, but yet I'm still just as unhappy as I was when I was, you know.
Flashback to the last time you were on holiday.
Yeah, I mentally didn't feel happier anymore. And I just, I guess it was a wake-up call because I was like, okay, I have achieved all the goals I thought I wanted and I'm not happy. And it's because of my approach. And I realized then, I had that epiphany, but it didn't really change until I got back from holiday. On that holiday, I just remember being so uncomfortable, and the difference was this time I was uncomfortable in my head more so than my body. But yeah, and then I got home and the body dysmorphia was so real from a few days of eating a little bit more, even though it was not much. I thought I had gained an absurd amount of weight and I felt too embarrassed to go back to the gym that I trained at. So I actually got a membership at a different gym.
A different gym.
So no one would see me because I'd convinced myself I had gained all the weight back.
But I'm curious about, you know, what you were thinking could be the solution, right? Because you've basically achieved everything at that point, at least, that you wanted to, right? You've lost a lot of weight. Your body is different. You've changed all of that, but mentally, you're not in the right place that you want to be.
No.
So what did you think was the route to change that?
Well, I think what made me realize that was, you know, I first said when I went on holiday with my mum, my sister, I saw these girls having fun, no worries, like felt really great in their body. I didn't have the body at that point because I'd taken it far, like way too far, but I didn't have that confidence and that freedom and that happiness that I actually wanted. And I realized like it wasn't just a body look I was going for. I wanted the feeling. I wanted the happiness and the
and it was the feeling.
self-love.
It was the feeling that caught your eye earlier. You said,
Yeah.
right? It wasn't just about their bodies.
But I didn't
it was
know
how
that at the time. I
this is
thought
just
they
looking
had that
back.
feeling because they looked that way.
So which steps did you take to get that?
So when I
What
got
was that
home,
feeling?
I realized that I had a very disordered relationship with food, my body, and exercise. And so I read and listened to as much as I could on eating disorders, overcoming everything from like binge eating to anorexia. I've read so much. I listened to a lot of podcasts on, you know, the concept of food freedom and balanced eating. And I didn't get any help professionally, but I kind of put together my own strategy because I knew I did not want to continue living like that. I remember one thing I did that really helped me was introducing one food per day that I wouldn't ordinarily feel comfortable eating. So
Like what?
a piece of chocolate,
Right.
a bit of chocolate every day.
And
Like
coming from a long time of where the approach was restrict,
don't,
exclude.
yeah. And
That's
to the
quite a
point
big
where
shift.
I would like lie to people that I couldn't go out to dinner with them because I was ill or I had plans, because I didn't want to eat out at restaurants. I had such a fear of food. So it was slowly introducing these fear foods into my day-to-day diet to prove to myself and, yeah, I guess show my brain that these foods are not going to cause a catastrophe. And yeah, slowly implementing these foods into my diet did show me like, okay, there's not any bad foods. There's no food that is going to actually make you gain weight. And it gives you a lot more of your life back, and it takes the control back to you rather than food having control over you. So yeah.
So I hear again this theme of having a struggle, diving deep and studying and figuring out what's the solution, basically building a toolbox, and then implementation. What does you have this term? I've heard you mention a term called alchemy before. Could you explain that to me?
I got it tattooed.
Okay. Tell me about alchemy.
Alchemy. I guess alchemy is something that has showed up in my life time and time again. Well, it's something that I have created. I look back and I have transformed my life time and time again through different things I've experienced. And the common denominator in all of this is that I always transform pain into my passion or my purpose. Another phrase is turn your mess into your message. And I feel like, when you go through difficult times or experience adversity, I think one of the best things you can do is transform that negativity, that difficult time, into something amazing, into something magical, into something that can help other people, into something that can, inspire you to learn from it and grow from it. I got diagnosed with PTSD in 2024, but now I didn't coin this, but I refer to it as post-traumatic growth. Because I choose to focus on the positives and the lessons and what I can create out of a negative situation rather than feeling victimized, rather than dwelling on it or letting it control my life. I use it to the best potential, best possible outcome there could be from it. And I think it's a really incredible way to live life.
For you and for others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure we can get into this, but it's kind of one of the reasons why I went back to study neuroscience, because I went through my own struggles with abuse, violence, trauma, and a lot of mental health problems. And it was through, again, education, understanding the brain, the neurochemicals and neurotransmitters, that I was able to help myself recover and heal. And I want to study so that I can help other people recover and grow and heal from that too.
I'd really like to get into that, but first I need to understand when you started sharing this story, because now you're building a toolbox, right? You're understanding eating disorders. You're reflecting on the process that you've gone through over the last years with the restrictive approach and what it led to for you. But you're also creating change now for yourself. Is this a story that you're sharing now broader at that time?
So my journey to food freedom, if you want to call it that, that was really what kickstarted my passion to share online. I had been sharing a little bit anyway. I worked at Airbus, so part of my degree was doing a professional placement year. And I was working there and realized I could not work in a corporate job and do work for other people, and I needed to do something I was so passionate about, and airplanes was not that for me.
It wasn't that you weren't interested in the engineering aspect of wings and all that?
No, not really.
A degree in what, sorry?
Business management and marketing.
Oh, there you go.
And I had been sharing online, like, post my meal prep and my workouts, and I had a little bit of a following. I'd share my check-ins and all of that kind of thing. But yeah, my journey to realizing that you can actually eat good food and enjoy your life and have balance and incorporate the things that the bodybuilding industry deem bad or call undisciplined. I realized that not only living like that meant I still stayed in great shape. I actually looked better because I gained a bit of healthy weight and gained muscle, but I felt like I got my life back and I was starting to feel those emotions and feelings that I desperately wanted, like the freedom and the peace with food and the happiness and the joy and the social connection. Like, it gave me so much more back in my life. And it was that feeling, that experience, that I really wanted other people to feel as well.
And the feeling that you had longed for.
Yeah.
It seems.
I get very passionate and always want to share. I love helping others. Truly, I do. It's what I believe I'm here to do, help other people. And I've done the weight loss. I'd learned how to train, and I'd figured out the exercise part. I guess I was struggling with the nutrition and the mindset around food. But once I'd figured out that part, I was like, right, there's something here I need to share with the world, because the coaches, I mean, we spoke about one of them, but there were a few who I had worked with. Their approach was so different to that. And there was a huge gap in the market back when I started for a coach who not only cared about getting you to your goals and getting you in the best shape, but also who cared just as much about your mental well-being, your mindset, your relationship with food, your lifestyle, in the sense that you can actually go out and enjoy normal human things without it sabotaging your goals. I didn't see any of that. And also the caring, compassionate, empathetic coach. I wanted to be that because I didn't ever have that.
But you're not a coach at this point, right?
No.
You're just starting to realize that you found a missing piece.
Yeah.
And it's really worth sharing.
Well, I realized when I was working at Airbus, I was like, I want to be a coach.
Okay.
I remember writing. I've always had like vision boards and manifestation journals, and I wrote in my journal, I want to be an online coach. Which, I mean, there would have been loads of female online coaches, but back then I remember there just being a lot of like male bodybuilding coaches. And yeah, I realized I really, really wanted to work with women and help them go through not go through what I had gone through, but to
learn
avoid,
from what you've gone through.
and to help them avoid all the mistakes I made. So I started taking social media more seriously. And I would go to work every day, study, but also make sure I posted on Instagram.
Okay, and what was the response like? Because you're sharing broadly both about, is it correctly understood, both about like the story, what led to your approach now and so on, and also just practical advice. And what's the response there?
I hadn't ever shared my before photo at that point.
Okay, so you're telling what you're doing actually now.
Yeah, I was just showing more in the moment, like, this is how I train, this is what I eat, this is what I meal prep, and sharing advice. I didn't post my weight loss story until I actually launched my coaching company.
Right.
But
are you getting traction while working?
Yeah, I would get a lot of traction. And I actually started coaching some of my friends and family members, or just, people who I knew personally. And I would post their before and afters on my story. And people started asking me, oh, can you make me a plan? And I just started making people plans for free.
So you feel you're in it now. You had in your vision board, I'm going to be an online coach, and this is the beginning of it, right?
Yeah.
But not necessarily thinking about monetizing it as such?
No, I hadn't really, I didn't really have a plan. I guess part of me thought it wasn't possible because, I was still very much on this like business management, career trajectory. And I was kind of building the social media thing at the same time. And, they're two completely different worlds.
Yes.
And because I have always been very academically hardworking, I guess I was still very much pursuing that. But yeah, it was definitely a big goal of mine to help people. I was just a bit confused. I wasn't sure. I didn't really have my future planned out, but I was just going with it.
But initially you thought it was going to be a bit of a corporate ladder
Yeah,
climb. That was
definitely. Yeah, I applied for so many grad schemes, and I actually got accepted to 4 or 5 at the same time.
which ones?
Incredible graduate schemes like Boots, Jaguar, Land Rover, BMW. Like really,
You could pick and choose at that point.
mm.
Amazing. But there was a calling
But
for
yeah,
something else
my
or what?
social media was growing, and I was getting more and more people asking me to help them with their weight loss and body composition. And I'd actually decided to start like a very, very small scale online coaching. I didn't really call it that, but I was just, coaching people through WhatsApp and making like Excel spreadsheets, and we were doing check-ins every week. So I would do that like on weekends or evenings. So I had probably about 10 clients. One thing I love is that 2 of these first ever clients are still with me now.
As clients?
Yeah.
Wow.
So they've probably been with me for like coming up to 8 years,
That's
7, 8
amazing.
years. So yeah, I had my like small little client base. I was still studying, got offered these graduate schemes, and then I remember thinking like, oh, I could make something out of this. I could like, create my online coaching dream. Or I could, be sensible.
Yeah. So that's 2 big
and
decisions.
and go with the thing I've been studying for
Mhm.
4 years to do, business management. And of course, like everyone was telling me like, oh, accept the graduate schemes. But then I got contacted by Linus.
Right. And I mean, what was your first impression? Because you're already brooding and kind of thinking like, I can go this route. Online coaching seems to be a path for me, a viable path, and amazing graduate schemes that you can, and now you have a solution potentially for your online coaching route. What was going through your mind, and how did you make a decision there?
Well, when I was coaching women just through WhatsApp and Canva and spreadsheets, I loved it. I just loved it. It didn't feel like work to me because it was my passion. And I guess I had learned from past experiences that it's very important to listen to your intuition and also go by feeling, because that was very important to me at that point, like actually feeling happy and feeling good. So yeah, I just felt very inspired working with women, and I knew that was definitely the career that I wanted for myself. It just felt like very silly and risky. That was the only thing that was holding me back. Like that was the career I wanted. I was like, oh.
Was that just your own perception, or also that of people around you?
What do you mean?
I mean that it was a risky move, and that you
Oh yeah,
potentially should.
like my family and friends were like, what do you mean start your own business? Like it wasn't really a business at that point. I mean,
No.
it was like I was making money, but it was very amateur. Like I was just doing it on WhatsApp, but I knew I could make it into something good because my Instagram was growing, and I had a waiting list of clients back then.
From what? Just from posting, or from other things that you'd
Just
shared,
from
right?
posting online,
Right,
like through DMs, people would message me, and like the market has changed a lot now. Like
Yeah.
there are so many online coaches, but yeah, there really wasn't back then, which is crazy because it was only 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember I had a waiting list of 30 people
There we go.
when I was still at uni, and I was like, okay, there is something here. Like I could do this. It's still going to be risky, and I'm turning down grad schemes that I have wanted to, like for the last 4 or 5 years, wanted to secure this. And then I was, looking at like different app providers and different ways to kind of make it a little bit more legitimate and professional. And then, yeah, I had a meeting with Linus, and they explained about how they could help me create an app which would, be the service provider for all my clients. And, they would, I mean, the app has changed tremendously since back then. But even
For
back
sure.
then, it was an incredible app, you know.
Still a big shift from WhatsApp and Excel
Oh
sheets
yeah, yeah.
and so on.
And I didn't know. I spoke to a guy called Matt who worked for Linus, and I didn't know who he was. Like I had never heard of Linus, and I didn't really have any relationships with other online coaches or anything. So it just felt like a very unknown, risky move. But I was like, yeah, do you know what? Let's do it.
Hmm. And I mean, what did that launch look like for you? Because one thing which is clear to me is that you've had quite a long build up there, whether it was, some aspects consciously once you thought that you might want to be a coach and others not, because you've been posting consistently now about your journey, about your approach, about food freedom, sharing value, getting a waiting list, all of these things which are actually like the perfect setup to start
Yeah.
an online business, knowingly or not.
It was very
Right?
unintentional. Like, yeah, the whole social media, Instagram thing. Like, when I first started posting on Instagram, I never in a million years thought, I'm going to do this to make a career out of it. I was just sharing like random food prep tips. But yeah, when I look back now, it actually unintentionally was the perfect strategy for a business. But yeah, we actually went into lockdown a few months before I launched my business. And I remember when we went into lockdown, all the gyms were going to be shut. So I made a free home workout guide. I stayed up all night making it. And then I put it on my Instagram with a download link, and it got like 5,000 downloads.
What a surprise.
In like one day.
That's a much
Yeah.
larger scale than just your
Yeah.
30 people on a wait list, right?
Yeah.
What did
And
you think when you saw
I remember
that
all my
downloads?
friends were like, you should have charged people like £2 for it or something like that.
But what are your thoughts on that now, right? Because I think a key approach to having an online presence is also giving value.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
You
I
know?
think that's an incredible something. I used to listen to a lot of business podcasts, and something I would always hear is you need to provide free value. You need to give people something for free. They need to build trust with you. If you ever want to monetize later on or create, a community or a business, like you need to be willing to provide free value in the interim. So yeah, I'm very glad I did do that. I did give out a lot of free content. Like I'd been posting for years before that, every single day without fail. And I used to write Instagram's changed a lot now, but all my captions used to be super educational, science-backed. I used to read a lot of papers and research articles and put it into a post. Whereas now it's obviously just very like quick videos.
It's a different game.
But yeah, I had, I guess, nurtured my audience well.
Exactly.
Gave them this free home workout guide. And then a few months into lockdown, I had agreed to create an app with Linus, and then we launched it in May 2020. And I remember the day I launched it, I think, was when I first ever posted my before picture that had never before been seen on Instagram.
Because you not only shared what you're doing now. What was that? That must have been a shift for you as well, something to overcome, to actually share that part of your story.
Yeah, because it's like I kind of moved on and forgotten her, and I just wanted to leave that in the past and never ever bring her out again, because that time was filled with a lot of sadness and pain for me. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to like bury it and move on with my life. But I was also very much aware, even though I didn't like it, that story could be very impactful and inspiring to other women.
It could lead to that alchemy.
Yeah.
For others.
And it's the perfect demonstration, a transformation picture of who I used to look like and who I used to be. A lot of other women are going to relate and see themselves in that version of me. So I had to put my ego to the side because I would rather that not be on my Instagram. But
and what was the response, and what did your launch look like? I mean, things really took off as far as I recall. What did that process look like, and how did you experience it?
I mean, it went very viral.
Yeah.
And I just remember my ego must have been so big at the time because all I cared about was, so many people are seeing my awful photo. When obviously that's not what it's about. But it had an incredible response. So many people were really inspired by it. And I guess it was a shock for a lot of people as well because they never seen my before picture. And I had a lot of people wanting to sign up and work with me.
Yeah, because I mean, at this point, you're going from a launch in May, you're getting hundreds of clients from start May towards already the start of the summer, right? So you're in a process of not just finding traction, but building team empower, right? Hiring people and figuring out how do you make that work. What was some of the biggest like learnings that you had in that time?
Well, yeah, I started it on my own, and within 3-4 weeks, I was having to hire my first person. And I'd never had my own business before. I did study business management, marketing, fortunately, but the real world business, very different to what you learn in a textbook or at uni. I had to scale up pretty quickly. And when you've never been in that experience before and you don't have a team, like you're kind of the boss, you're the one in charge, you kind of do have to take a lot of risks and listen to your intuition, which is hard to figure out. But yeah, over the summer, I think by September I had 4 or 5 people on the team. And at that point, I'd realized I had made the right decision.
You're leading an organization now, right? And everything that takes. And like you said, I mean, some things you can't read in a book, right? I mean, tell me about some of the experiences or key learnings that you had at that point in setting the right team, finding the right people, right? Because up until this point, you were the creator of everything you deliver, right? And now some of that has to live through some others, but they have to do it in the right way, something which feels true to you. What does that look like as a business owner?
I found it very difficult to delegate and to trust other people at first. But I knew if I wanted to help more people and coach people in the empower way and the way that I was so truly passionate about, I knew I had to kind of let go of some control and delegate and be able to coach and educate other people who had, the same goals and aspirations as me to work with women and help them change their life. I knew I needed to delegate and let go of that control and make it more of a team effort rather than just me. Because I remember I was coaching far too many people and doing all the social media and running the business and hiring, and it was just getting way too much for me. So I knew to continue making impact at the level I wanted to, I needed to change my role and be okay with hiring people. And it's hard, because you obviously interview people, but one interview is not enough to really know someone when you're trusting them to, coach people who are trusting you.
Yeah.
It was a difficult journey.
Finding the right people.
Finding the right people. But you hear a lot of business people say that, like, people is always the hardest part of having a business. It's the HR, it's the people. And right now, I'm very fortunate to have an incredible team, but it's taken a lot of trial and error and problems to get there.
To get into the right place.
To find the right people. But I've learned a lot in that. I have my best friend, we've been best friends for 20 years nearly. She works for me and she is like the manager of Empower and she is incredible. But, I've hired other friends and that has not worked out so well.
Friends
so I
can
would
generally
never
be a tricky thing to
I wouldn't hire a
include in
friend
your business.
again.
No. And I mean the importance of having someone within your team who can help manage some of the operations, because you can't manage everything.
You can't do it all yourself. No, I really had to learn that. I thought I could do it all myself, but Molly has been with me from day one, really, the first few weeks of the incorporation of Empower. But I guess we very much early on separated our roles, and she was more people, HR, the internal logistics and operations, and I was more, high level overview of the business and the marketing and the social media and the actual coaching and the training of the team and the methodology. So it was really paramount to have someone with me who was, executing the operations at a high level with me, but we had, different focuses within the business, and that was really helpful.
But what did it take for you to get to that point? You mentioned a phase where you were just running full speed, trying to do everything, still learning how to delegate. I mean, that also sounds like, an unsustainable path. Like at some point it has to change, right? So what did that change look like for you?
Well, when we started hiring people and I could actually prove to myself, like, oh, it's not as scary as like you think, like you can delegate, you can coach, you can teach. And, we were getting really great results from the team, not to everyone, but, and amazing client results. And I guess the process of letting go of that control and delegating showed me like, oh, this is scalable. Like I can coach other people to do what I do and how I coach. So I guess it was just a case of doing it to prove it to myself.
Right. Now you've mentioned neuroscience a couple of times. I'm curious about where this academic path came back to you, right? And where that started and why neuroscience and what are you going to use it for? Tell me a bit about that.
Oh my God, this is such a long story to get to. But right, so I've been open about this online, but I was in a very abusive relationship. This spanned for about 4 years, which, I mean, it was hard whilst having a business. And I mean, I could talk for hours about just that concept, but, having to be the face of a company, at one point I had a team of nearly 20 people, a lot of responsibility. And behind the scenes, I was living a nightmare, to put it blank. My life online looked very different to how it did offline. And I was very scared, living in a state of chronic stress. There was a lot of violence, abuse, and my mental health went downhill.
Right.
And I guess because I've always been very driven, like I continued showing up online, and I guess it's difficult because I tried my best to be authentic and I was open about my mental health struggles. But, when you're living with an abusive partner, it's not like you can open up and be truly authentic when you kind of don't even understand it yourself and you don't know how you're going to get out and you feel very trapped. But I continued with my business. I also had a stalker at the time.
This is a lot to manage all at once. I mean, both a rapidly growing business, a large team, abusive relationship, and a stalker. Wow.
Yeah. The stalker, I didn't know who he was. He found me through Instagram. Same with my ex-partner, the guy I was in an abusive relationship with. I definitely had this resentment to social media for a while because it opened me up to two very dangerous situations.
Vulnerability.
Yeah, as much as it's been incredible and it helped me build an amazing brand and community and business that I'm so grateful for and so proud of, there were a lot of negatives, not just the stalker and my ex, but, online hate and tattle and all of that kind of thing.
Wow.
But anyway, 2023 and 2024 were the hardest years of my life by far. Like if I thought getting bullied at school was difficult or anything from my childhood, like this 10x'd it. It was the worst experience of my entire life. And I kind of lived with it without telling anyone, like even my closest friends and my sister. And people are like very close proximity to me had no idea what was going on. And I just put on this brave face and, you know, continued showing up every day. And I repressed so much of the pain and the traumatic experiences I was going through, like on the daily. I thought that was the strong thing to do, to just like, you know, compartmentalize it and carry on. And I guess I didn't want to let this man break me and my business and everything I'd worked so hard to achieve. Like I was so determined to continue working and showing up. And within that, I repressed so much. And I guess really work became a little bit of a escape, a bit of a work addiction. It was necessary. I had to, because I had so much to do and a lot of accountability and responsibility. But equally, it was a way to escape and numb out all a
survival mechanism.
Yeah.
What changed to help you get out
So
of
we
that?
are going to get onto the neuroscience through this.
Yes.
It's just kind of the context and the background.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I won't go into the ins and outs, but it was a really violent and abusive time of my life. And it took its toll on me, you know, the crazy late nights and the working and the abuse. I developed really severe mental health problems like PTSD. I developed chronic fatigue. I got to the point where I couldn't get out of bed. My body, like my physical health and my fitness journey, had a massive setback. And this has also helped me realize how much your mental health and your stress levels and your nervous system, they play such a big role on your health and your body composition and your fitness. I had no idea how much your mental health can impact your physical health and your physical body. So yeah, it taught me a lot, but I regressed a lot, and it was very hard to watch my body gain weight and, you know, deal with crazy inflammation and bloating and bad skin, because I was doing all the right things still. I was still going to the gym, I was still eating healthy, I was still, you know, doing everything right. But because my chronic stress and the levels of repressed trauma that my body was holding, my body started to like show it, and I stopped sleeping. I had really awful sleeping disorders and chronic fatigue, and it got to the point where I could not get out of bed. I didn't want to leave my apartment because I thought my stalker was going to murder me. That was the kind of threats I was getting.
Wow.
So I went from being this like fitness star online to gaining weight, inflamed, bloated, scared.
And flashback to those early days.
Not leaving my house. I didn't go to the gym for a year. I stopped caring about my nutrition because, you know, when you've got, existential threats to your life happening and you see no way out, you don't care about your nutrition when you're worried you're going to get killed. So I just became a shell of myself. I lost myself completely, my identity. And it felt really hard because I didn't want to go backwards, and they weren't like my own personal choices, but I felt like this imposter because online I was this, you know, fitness person. And my real life could not be further from the truth. I was just so scared and I hated my life and I didn't know what to do about it. But anyway, I hit a breaking point. I ended up in hospital and I realized I needed professional help if I wanted to get better. So the day after I came out of hospital, I went to a trauma and healing rehabilitation center in Spain. And I stayed there as an inpatient for 2 weeks.
Okay.
My mental health was so bad, I did need to be in 24/7 care because I was a threat to myself at that point.
Wow.
And, you know, it was really scary even being in that position. Like, I never thought I would feel suicidal. But, yeah, I knew I was, you know, a danger to myself. But, you know, when you have two people who are out to get you and causing a lot of fear and abuse, I thought that was the easy way out.
But luckily, it seems like you got to an environment and a situation which is exactly what you needed at that point. The right people around you, the right type of treatment, and potentially a new approach to understanding your situation or your state at that point.
It was the best thing I did. Like, I thought, I'd convinced myself that getting help and surrendering, I guess, was giving up, failure, which is why I just kept going and trying to like show up online and continue with my business. And I didn't want to go and get help because I thought I was failing, but it was actually the strongest thing I could have done. And I spent 2 weeks there, and this is kind of like how we get to the neuroscience stuff, because I had a lot of therapy, really crazy groundbreaking therapies like laser ear acupuncture and neurofeedback and, different brain therapies and trauma release exercise and hypnotherapy and, kind of everything under the sun. And it made me realize like, oh, wow, like I'm already feeling better and I felt like I can actually get my life back. And it gave me hope that I could have a better life again. A lot of psychotherapy. That week was the day the final day before I came home. I did my first gym workout in like over a year.
Wow.
And that was like really emotional for me because I just didn't think it was going to happen again. And they taught me a lot about, well, I guess they didn't teach me, but they kind of opened my eyes to the other world of health, holistic health, meditation, breath work, contrast therapy, ice bath, sauna, and all of the things that you can do to improve the health of your brain, essentially. And I read so much about trauma and addiction and mental health, and I listened to countless audiobooks and started reading research reviews purely to understand how I can optimize my brain and, change my brain state to feel happier, to feel more motivated, to have more hope. And I started implementing so much into my life, like actually meditating and journaling regularly every day, and nature walks and grounding and contrast therapy. Ice baths have changed my life. People think it's a trend, but like mentally it got me through the hardest time in my life. I started to implement all of these things and actually understand the mechanisms behind all of them and what's actually occurring in your brain. So I guess the learning of what happens in your brain, like neurochemically, understanding neurotransmitters and how you can influence them, it really changed my life. And I recovered so quickly, like from debilitating PTSD where I did not want to leave my house, nightmares where I could not sleep. I had extreme insomnia. Within 3 months, I was, back in the gym, eating healthy, sleeping. I wasn't getting daily flashbacks anymore. And like I had completely changed my mental state and my brain in like less than 3 months. And, when I went to this rehab trauma center, I had gained weight. As I said, from the abuse and the cortisol, I gained a bit of weight. And, as soon as I started implementing all of these holistic approaches and, the additional habits into my life that I previously thought were a waste of time, groundbreaking, like transformative for me.
Because we are what you call biopsychosocial beings, right? The physical, biological aspect, there's the mental, and then there's our interactions. And all of these lead to health. So that put you on your journey to study neuroscience. And are you also integrating that into your coaching now? Yeah,
so I started my master's back in November last year. So nearly 6 months now. And I've already started implementing it because really like coaching, it isn't just like, it really isn't just your fitness and your nutrition. The most important thing is helping people to change their mind and change their mindset, understanding habit formation, breaking addictive cycles and, behavioral addictions. it's all in the mind. If you can help someone like understand their mind and, rewire limiting beliefs, they can achieve their goals. And I think that's neglected and overlooked by a lot of people. So I've started implementing it with our clients. We actually have always placed a very big focus on the mindset piece and mental health and habits beyond just your health and your fitness. But I've started working with a lot of clients on regulating their nervous system, which is something that I think everyone needs to do more of. And even for me, when I started regulating my nervous system and actually going through repressed emotions and trauma and healing my trauma, the weight started to fall off me. My energy came back like crazy. Everything felt easier. My sleep was better. And there was no like magic program. It was just, adding nervous system regulation and mindset work on top of the already existing habits like my gym and fitness and healthy eating.
A very different approach to what you learned initially in the start of your journey and also potentially what you coached. If we look a bit into the future, what do you think the industry right now or is in development that the industry is learning more of that'll help more people?
Well, I think that concept is extremely relevant. I think it just really points and adds to how personalized people's programming needs to be, because everyone has their own different struggles and their own lifestyle. Like, someone might be struggling with mental health problems. Someone might have a dysregulated nervous system. There's people who go through work stress, and everyone's going to be able to respond and cope with different levels of intensity in their training and their workout. Some people are going to respond better to intuitive eating. Some people need a calorie and macro plan. Some people can go to the gym and lift heavy 5 days a week. Other people can't do that because they've got too much stress going on in their life. And it really points to how personalized a plan needs to be based around someone, and not just their goals and how they look and how they live, but also like the amount of stress they're currently under and, even the hormones. And I guess for someone to really optimize and get to their absolute best potential, there needs to be a holistic look at all the different factors affecting them in their life. And I feel like that there's definitely space for that to be focused on in the industry. I think there's far too many cookie cutter programs, and I don't think they work. Plus the accountability piece, like with a coach where you're getting a personalized program and it's really mapped and curated for you based on your lifestyle and your struggles and your current stress levels and what you're emotionally dealing with. When you have that plan that's personally made for you, plus accountability, someone who genuinely cares, that is going to make all the difference whether you reach your goals or not. Or you can go online and, get a 12-week training program.
Yeah.
Or get ChatGPT to make you a 12-week training program. But that's not, that's just neglecting and overlooking all of the emotional piece. And like having accountability is the game changer.
And luckily, I think consumers are also figuring out that potentially is the missing piece for them. Final question on this session, Emma. I'm curious about, you've been on such a journey and changed your approach based on your life experiences and created this alchemy for yourself and for clients. What does the future of Team Empower look like?
I love what we're doing right now. I would say right now is the happiest I've ever been with the business, our client results, our client lifetime, the community, the team I have, all of the additional things that we're adding. So we have now added Pilates and yoga and bar workouts and meditations. And we're really curating Empower to be even more holistic. And once I've got my master's in neuroscience, I'd love to implement more therapeutic coaching and help people overcome the kind of things that I overcame. Because, if you've got abuse or mental health or trauma holding you back, and you can, you can work with someone to overcome that, you can then, catapult your health and fitness journey, because it really does make a difference. It's got to be a holistic approach to everything.
As it has done for you.
Yes.
Emma, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Emma, welcome to the second session, a bit of a lighter session to end things off on the walk pads.
On the walking pads, getting our steps in at least.
Getting our steps in. So what we're going to do is I want you to say if the thing I present you for is overrated or underrated in terms of its impact on people's health, happiness, and longevity. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's start with counting calories.
Oh, that's a tough one.
It is.
Because it depends on the person. You know what we're talking about, the personalized approach. I would say, I think it's underrated because of the incredible impact it can have. And once you've learned how to count calories, it gives you an insight into nutrition that you wouldn't otherwise have. And you kind of had that for the rest of your life. So I think underrated. It's a great tool that doesn't need to be used forever, but it's a great way to get into health and fitness.
So it sounds like it starts underrated, turns into overrated.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Like once you know how to count calories and understand nutrition, you definitely don't need to do it forever.
Mm-hmm. How about planning your week ahead and including your positive habits?
Underrated. Yeah, I think everyone should be doing a Sunday planning session, planning out your week of work, workouts, meal prep,
How about breath work and meditation?
Underrated.
Yeah, that was a quick reply.
Which I would not have said a year and a half ago. I would have thought it was a waste of time, not productive enough. Whereas now they are non-negotiable habits in my life. I don't meditate daily, but I meditate several times a week. I want it to be daily. But breath work multiple times a day, every day, life-changing.
Okay. How about screen downtime?
Underrated.
Think people don't prioritize being off their screens enough?
No, it was actually one of my goals for this year to reduce my screen time. And I've now got my Instagram screen time down to under 30 minutes a day, which I'm very proud of considering it's part of my job.
Exactly. Well done.
And it's made me a lot happier, less likely to compare. Going on social media on your phone too much just hijacks your dopamine system. Makes everything else feel harder. So yeah, underrated.
How about community around your journey?
Underrated. Doesn't mean you need it, but I think it's an incredible addition to have. And there's so much power in having a community and like-minded people around you.
Okay, so let's mix this up a bit with a bit of trivia about you. What is one thing that you do for fun that might surprise people?
I don't know if this will surprise people, but I actually... my idea of a fun Friday night would be going to contrast therapy, like sauna, and sitting in an ice bath for as long as I can.
Sounds like a good Friday to me. All right, last one here. What's a secret talent that you have? Something that you're good at, but that no one really knows about.
A secret talent I have. I feel like I have somewhat of a photographic memory. I'm very good at retaining information.
I could use that every now and then.
Yeah, which helps me with my studying.
All right, good. Thanks a lot, Emma, for the session.
Thank you.